Hello, sweet friends. Hello, hello. One of these days, I'm gonna give you a garden tour that is in perfect light, that golden hour and beautiful, but that's not today. We just spent the last hour and a half mucking out stalls and cleaning out chicken coops. I'm so glad that smell-o-vision doesn't exist because I literally smell like poop right now. But anyway, it's always such a disgusting job, but I'm actually also thankful because it's feeding my compost pile. Anyway, what an opening, right? Welcome back to Haven Hill. I'm Meg, and you are in my garden. Remember, I did, if I can figure out how to post the link, I did my wild and slightly or very weedy northern garden. Well, you are in that garden again, or I did that video. Now you're in that garden after more rain. So our season started out with drought. Then we got the perfect amount of rain, which of course causes lots of weeds. So slightly hard to stay up on, but then we got massive amounts of rain. So twice now in the last couple weeks, we have had, well, maybe I should say in the last month, I don't remember the first date anyway. We've had 7.5 inches of rain each time. And my garden is saying, I am soggy, enough rain, and praise the Lord, truly, there is no rain in the forecast for the next week. So I wanna show you some things. To give you an idea of how much rain we've had, I'm seeing all these beautiful tomatoes, and I don't wanna touch them because my hands are disgusting. Do you know how hard that is? Our garden is so soggy that I have tomato plants that are starting to get root rot, which happens when you have too much water. And I know that by the yellowing of the bottom leaves. I also have potatoes that got pushed up because there's so much moisture, and they're big, but they weren't ready. They're green. I don't think I feel comfortable keeping green tomato or potatoes. And it's so soggy that I have sunflowers, massive sunflowers, that are showing signs of root rot, but they're also being uprooted. Let me show you. So do you see this? This is all being uprooted, and this guy is massive. Still full of blooms, and I'm debating about whether I keep him or should I just pull him out because he's leaning on a trellis. The trellis will hold, but it's preventing light from getting to a tomato plant. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. So we'll just let him lean a bit longer. You can see all of my red ones, and I'm totally drawing a blank in their name. I'll see if I can find it. They're actually from last year. Just look at that, gorgeous. So I'm 5'7". I'm 5'7". I don't know, 9 feet. Beautiful. I love it. But they have too much water. Like I have, sometimes your leaves get droopy when they need water. We have leaves drooping because it's too much water. So that's what's happening right now. Let me show you some more spots. So this is where these potatoes, well, I pulled them out. Okay, so let me give you some background on this particular section. Do you see those yellow leaves there? Those are from sunflowers. Those sunflowers are done, they're dead. I was going to rip them out, but because they are done. They did so well right there. Goodness, provided for so many bouquets. But I'm holding off because I know they still have roots in there. I'm hoping that they actually help absorb some of the water. That's why they're still there. The line of zinnias in front of them are doing well. So this whole area was supposed to be a potato patch, a small one, that I hardly weeded. I just covered it very, very thick. And actually, there's weeds now because of all of the rain, but it did very, very well. But here's my problem. You can see that water right there. It's just sitting. So my guess is all of this will probably rot. I could be wrong. I so dearly hope I'm wrong. I truly so dearly hope I'm wrong. But I don't think I am because I already saw one that was rotted. And that's a big bummer. But when we first moved here, it actually, thank you, sweetheart, you brought me some water. Do you want to say hi, Pose? Hi. What are you eating?
Sourdough.
Oh, some sourdough. Did you toast it with butter? You just put some butter on it? That looks delicious. But while I might lose that section of potatoes, which I think was going to be a really good harvest, I don't know. I'm not sure. Some could pull through. But it's actually still encouraging, and I want to tell you why. So our first year here, when we moved, we had an unbelievable amount of rain. It was so much that our river out back flooded well over our heads. I mean, my kids were trying to, which is stupid, or to me was slightly stupid, but you know, that's what my boys do. Not always, but like it was an adventure for them and whatever. They were swimming in the flood. It was that much. It was, like I said, well over their heads. And our neighbors said they've never seen a flood like that. Well, obviously this section that I just showed you with the potatoes, let me flip it around here, was very, very flooded. And I told Jason, there is no way, unless we build up, we'll never be able to plant anything there. But I decided to throw stuff in, and it worked. And then I threw stuff in last year. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, last year was the first year. And things grew. What did I grow here last year? Oh, I grew pumpkins. And the pumpkins actually did, man, I am so itchy. They did so great. But what actually ended up taking them was the squash bugs. So anyway, it got roots in the ground. So I built the soil up all fall with leaves and bunny poop and spent bedding from our sheep and from our bunnies and just whatnot. And it did great. So the fact that these potatoes did so well and that just now I'm experiencing this flooding, I am actually very, very encouraged. I still obviously have some work to do, but I know we're making progress. So it's a bummer for me that I think that we're going to lose this particular potato harvest, but it's also, you know, the catch-22. It's also encouraging because I'm seeing I have work to do, but we made a massive amount of progress. That's cool, but I still wanted the potatoes. This is super cool to see. This is my passion vine. I haven't had any blooms yet. But it's doing really, really well. My passion flower vine, I have 2 of them there. There's a weed in between them. And this is just for beauty and pollinators' sake. And the woman I'm thinking for next year, pollinators, the woman at the nursery that I purchased it from said, treat it like a rose in the wintertime and it should come back. It's good for our area to be a perennial as long as I heavily mulch it, and it does not really seem to be bothered by the water very much. It's slightly higher than the other area. I know you probably can't see that. We are getting ready to deadhead these sunflowers that are just doing still so good. Hopefully we'll get a little, maybe 1 or 2 more flushes from them. These guys are done. I mean, there's a few, but they're pretty well done. We're gonna hold on to them a little bit longer for just some of the little guys for some bouquets. This is the trellis I was so excited to show you. So in the last Wild Northern Garden Tour, I told you about this and it was about to here, I think. And now look at this, it's all the way over here. This is the loofah. I think I called it a squash last time, didn't I? I don't even remember what I called it. I felt like I said it incorrect, but it's the loofah squash. And this morning, I don't know how I missed it. Somehow I missed my very first one. So this will continue to grow. I don't know how much I'm gonna get this year. I kind of wish I would have started this in our makeshift greenhouse. I knew it was a long grower. The blooms are great. There's a lot of, okay, where are they? They're still pretty small. Oh, look at this one. That's so good. I'm seeing tons of them, but they're pretty doggone small. So I'm not sure if we will get a very good harvest. I mean, they still have a couple months left. Our first frost date for this, in our Garden Zone 5B is October 5. That's not much time. I know some of you Southern gardeners, I was listening to somebody this morning. She said her first frost date is the beginning of November. I'm like, oh my word, that would be so lovely. But it's okay. I very, very much love gardening in the north. It's just you have to work through timelines quite a bit more in the north. So what I was gonna tell you though, so this loofah, you let it grow on here until it's actually dead and dried. Then you harvest it and you peel it, and it literally becomes a loofah sponge. I was hoping to grow enough. I mean, the buds would tell me that I have plenty, but I was hoping to grow enough to have sponges for us for at least through the winter. But I don't know if that will happen or not. We'll see. It's my first time growing it. Okay, so let me tell you about these 2 rows. Right after, a couple days after I did the last garden tour, I tilled these up because this is new ground, weeded them, and planted cabbage by seed. I chose a shorter variety that should have had plenty of time, and I am pretty sure they won't grow because of all the rain. 2 days later, we got a huge storm, and then we got another one after that. So it's very muddy. It'll be interesting. And I don't know if I have it in me to plant anymore. So I don't know, we'll see. The thing that is very, very, very happy with all of this rain is the celery. I have to show you guys this. This is becoming my favorite celery. It's a white celery. It's from Baker Creek. I don't remember the variety. I have pink. All of this is just regular green. And there's more white back there. You can see it. Oh, yes, isn't it beautiful? So celery loves a lot of water. They love it soggy. So this is doing good. Very, very good now. I harvested some that was a little bit rough because it wasn't getting enough water. And then we got the storm, and oh my word. Riggins brought some of the white celery into me yesterday, and it was absolutely delicious. So that's doing great. And then my wild tomatoes, they're still so entirely wild and still producing like mad women and turning fantastic on the vine. Look at them. The fruit is all underneath. I'm not harvesting right now, but there's a lot to be harvested in there. Okay, I'm gonna sit down under my trellis. Look at all the shade I'm getting just from my pineapple, yellow pineapple tomatoes and my loofah. Okay, so I want to tell you about these wild tomatoes just a little bit. This was a super fun experiment for me to do them completely wild. I talked about it in the other video because tomatoes naturally grow on the ground. So if you let them go, they will just continue to put roots down. It's actually pretty amazing. So when we trellis them, we're actually going against nature, so to speak. Even though it's great because you do a lot less disease. These guys are still doing so good. Like there's hardly any disease that I can see. I mean, nothing more than, you know, my other ones just starting to set in because of the rain. But it's fascinating to me. Will I do it again? Probably not, but probably not for the reason that you think. I don't mind them looking wild. The hardest part is actually harvesting them. Letting them be wild actually prevents a lot of weeds. Like there's not very many weeds really where they're growing. There's a little bit of grass, but hardly any compared to my trellised ones. The main reason why it's challenging is it's really challenging to get under them, to harvest them. And then of course some rot because you just miss them. So it may not be ideal for that, but it is super fascinating. Let me show you the root structure. So I had no idea until probably just, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe it was longer. I really don't even know. I just, when I first started gardening, I had no idea that by nature, tomatoes would grow along the ground. So this is a perfect spot to show you. So do you see all of this? This is all, I pulled this up when I was harvesting a couple days ago. Look at all of those roots. Like that's amazing. I'm gonna go in and cut all of this off. This is just from the rain, too much water. But that's what's incredible about it is they just continue to root on down. So then when you have to lift up to harvest, that's what I mean, it gets challenging. Let me see here. I mean, there's so much fruit. I did lose some to the rain just because, you know, they do start to rot. Oh, the basil is so happy. Look at all this basil. I love growing basil next to my tomatoes. They say, whoever they is, that it makes your tomatoes taste better. Anyway, I will have lots to harvest this weekend in my wild tomatoes. actually interesting. I'm not seeing very many that are rotted. I don't know, y'all. It was super fun to try this. I am confident if you are a southern gardener, you couldn't do this. My guess is blight, because there's not as much air movement, would have taken over a long time ago. And most of these I'm just harvesting for us. Like when I do production for our curated farmers market CSA, this is just it's not a good use of time because it takes longer to harvest. But it is just really interesting. So I hope for all of you home gardeners, if you don't get your tomatoes trellis, see what happens. You might actually, if you're in the north, you might be pleasantly surprised. I'm really glad I did that though. That's been fun to watch. So let me show you flowers. This is what we're getting ready to deadhead again. We're gonna start deadheading cosmos. So when you plant them thick like this, their stems actually grow pretty straight. Of course, you have random ones, but you don't need near as much trellising, in my experience. Dahlias are doing well, but I will tell you, their leaves, a lot of their leaves, like down there, they are down because this is too much water for them. So hopefully that they will, since we have sun now for the next week, should be good, hopefully. Oh, I would hate to lose all those. I told you in the last one I was getting ready to rip all the borage. Yeah, I didn't even get to that. This is coming out this weekend. I'm tired of looking at it. It is so wonderful because it's a first bloomer in the spring. It helps immensely with pollinators, but I am kind of tired of it. Oh, and I actually do like it. I will make sure I have this every year. I do like it because it becomes a host plant for Japanese beetles. The beetles like that, and since we don't do anything with this, I just plant it for pollinators. The Japanese beetles will be more attracted to my borage, leaving my other things like dahlias and sunflowers more alone. Now I still do have to pick off of them often, but they like this better, and I don't care if they get this. Little random cosmos. So this dahlia is doing fantastic up here. You can tell her leaves aren't down at all. It's because, I'm not sure if you can tell this in the video or not, but this goes all downhill. So the further down you get, the more water, obviously. So up here, these sunflowers, these will be our last ones. They're doing fantastic. I'm gonna leave the borage in here with the weeds and grass because I want all of the Japanese beetles, which have slowed way down, but I want them to stay over there. Okay, now over here we have our zinnias, just a random little dahlia that's doing well. Zinnias are doing good, very good. The Japanese beetles finally started leaving them alone. Our sunflower or our straw flowers, they're only decent this year. I'll be so curious to see what happens over the next month. They're blooming well, they look healthy, but last year way more blooms. Maybe I'm mixing up in my mind, and maybe it was more late August and early September. Gumfrena is just fantastic. So happy with it. I'll be ready to not have the grasses growing with it, but this is a brand new garden. We harvested a lot of the red and the pink. I don't remember the exact variety names, and we are drying those, hopefully for some winter bouquets, and we'll come in and harvest a bunch of white as well. My girls just brought me a smoothie that they made inside. What kind is it? Strawberry banana? Strawberry banana and something that tastes absolutely wonderful. Okay, well, that's just what I wanted to share with you today. An interesting garden tour because we have received so much rain 2 days ago, or you all, I mean, my days just blend. Was it 2 or 3 days ago? It happened over 2 days, about 7 inches or so, and then last night another ½ inch. So it's a garden tour of a northern garden that is saying, I'm soggy, please don't rain anymore. So yeah, y'all, just being in this space in my garden, it's just, I love it. I love it. Sogginess and all, weeds and all. I love it. Oh, here, let me show you. This is a good example of what's looking like to be root rot in my tomatoes. So you can see all of this yellow. That is this one for sure, or the first two. So I'll watch it. I'll still try to harvest those tomatoes. It might rebound. A few peppers as well. If I walk through there, I walked through there yesterday before we got another ½ inch. You can hear it just squish, squish, squish. Blessing is, our dog is greeting somebody that just got here. One blessing of having soil that holds onto water is that I don't have to water as much, but, or at least not always. This depends. But the downfall is it takes a bit when you get a lot for it to drain. So anyway, we just had some friends stop by and pick up some crates of apples since the tree keeps dropping them. That's where we're headed now, is to go harvest some more crates of apples. And there still is so many on this tree, you guys. Look at this. Look at that. It's just amazing. I talk all, if you're new in this space, I talk all about this apple tree in my last video and what a blessing it is. But today we're gonna harvest what we can and that's worthy of keeping for processing off the ground. Hey, you. So one of my kids' jobs when we have apples is to each fill up a crate when we need to. And it's a job that really, with a child doing, that crate should take 15 minutes. He might be on 30. I'm not saying that to be unkind. I'm saying it to say sometimes it takes certain kids longer. But the job can still get done. And it's really, really good training in discipline and resilience. And I have no idea what he's doing right now. Sometimes finding the right apple or the good apple feels daunting, and then the bad ones he likes playing baseball with. So I told him I don't care how long it takes him, but his job must get done. So if it takes him 4 hours, well, if it takes him 30 or 40 minutes, as long as it gets done. He's 7. Good morning, friends. It's actually the next day after that soggy, wet garden tour, and I realized I forgot to end the video. So I just wanted to quickly do that, but I also wanted to show you what I woke up to this morning. You know how I said in the video that we aren't supposed to get any more rain for like a week? Look at this. Anyway, sometimes you just can't win, but I just wanted to thank you for joining me on that rainy garden, or not rainy garden tour, but the slightly flooded, soggy garden tour. That's what I was calling it. And anyway, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.